And just give us the update first physically on how you're doing. Obviously, that was a grueling battle. So physically, where do you stand right now?
I mean, I swear to God, this feels like I was just here last week, and I'm back in front of you guys again. But physically, to answer your question, physically, I'm good. Of course, got this stupid cast on. But besides that, everything's good. Everything is on the up and up.
Nice. And I know you've had a time to step back a little bit and kind of reflect on it and soak it in. I mean, registering a title defense, going through such a rivalry battle like that was. I mean, now that you've had a chance to kind of enjoy it a little bit, what did that fight mean to you?
This is a feeling that I've always had all through my career as a martial artist. Back when I was wrestling, and I made the decision that I wanted to be the best at one point in whatever I was doing. I don't soak it up as much. It's as soon as I'm done, it's those few hours, of course, the world, everyone is blowing up your social media. Everyone's, big upping you. Hey, good job. But then there's that moment when I go to my room and I'm by myself. My manager always loves to be in my room, but I have to kick him out sometimes because I want some privacy by myself. And I'm just in there, and then I think to myself, what's next? That's done. That's over with. What's next? And that's kind of the feeling I'm getting now. It's just I'm sitting at home taking my daughter to school. I come back on the couch, and I'm just watching TV. And you know what? Actually, now I'm getting into the UFC 3 game. So it's pretty cool to just be able to get my ass whooped by fans all over the world as my own self.
You mentioned it. What's next? I mean, so that's what people are starting to talk about. Your name has been coming up this week, especially with Conor McGregor. He's saying, listen, this is a welterweight bout, maybe lightweight, but I think I could challenge for 170 gold as well. So what do you think about the idea of Conor McGregor, if he wins on Saturday night, potentially challenging you and facing off for your welterweight belt?
I'm the champion. That's it. Plain and simple. I am the champion. They have to come to me. There's a reason now they talk about me, and that's because I have the gold. So anybody can get it. I have never said no. When Dana White calls and says, I want you to take out this guy, I say when, and we get it done. So I'm not the one picking and choosing fight. I've never turned down a fight ever in my career. I've been the one begging for fights. But now I'm in the situation, I'm in the position to where I don't have to beg for fights anymore. They have to come to me. If Conor wants it, Conor can get it too. I don't discriminate on the ass whooping. Anybody can get it.
On that tip, Jorge Masvidal was here earlier as well, and he said, listen, he wants to fight. And it's kind of getting personal to him a little bit. He said he doesn't like the trash talk that he feels is coming from you at this point, and he'd like to potentially have a fight with you as well. I talked to Dana yesterday. He said he feels like Jorge is probably the number one contender right now. What about that? I know you say you'll take it from anybody, but is that fight more appealing to you, say, than Conor McGregor?
Who? Like I said, anybody can get it. When Dana says that's the guy, I say when. Dana said Covington was the guy. When? I got it done. He said Woodley was the guy. When? I got it done. So it doesn't matter. Whoever they put in front of me, it's my job as the champion to go in there and shoot them down.
Last thing for me, when's good for you? I mean, if you were the one making the call, I mean, obviously you got the cast on there, but what does look ideal for you in 2020? When would you like to fight?
The one thing that I do love now is the fact that, now it's more of a partnership. With what makes sense for Dana and the company, and also my management. I have best management in the game, and so they go in and they sit down with Dana and we figure out a time that works for both of us, and we go in there and we get it done. It's not a matter of opponent; it's a matter of when the champion wants to get back in there and do his job.
Kamaru, just over here, Jorge was out here just a few seconds ago, and he was mentioning you guys have some of the same trainers that are working with you now. He mentioned that the trainers are telling you to avoid him, that he's a tough matchup. I just want to clarify it and give you a chance to sort of clear this up. What are they saying to you? What is it like working with his ex-coaches?
Is there one person in here who believes somebody of the way that I fight, they would tell me to avoid anybody. No, not possible. Actually, it's funny. There's a trainer that used to be at ATT that now works with us. And what these guys don't understand is that's what I say. I'm not here by accident. This is definitely written. That trainer happens to be my first ever wrestling coach when I was a kid. Guy came over from, overseas and was my first wrestling coach in high school at 13 years old. And then I go off to college. I don't see this guy for years and years. And then he somehow ends up in mixed martial arts. I end up in mixed martial arts, and now he's my coach again. So why would they tell me to avoid anybody? That's the one thing that coach knows is who I am and what I'm capable of.
Obviously, a lot of people sort of trying to get George St. Pierre to come out of retirement and come back for one more fight. You're building yourself, a really impressive legacy. Do you think you could be the guy that gets George to come out for one more fight and possibly fight you for his possibly last fight ever in the UFC?
Actually, yeah, that's a fight that, to be honest, that really gets me up, that gets me motivated, that intrigues me. Of course, I do my job. When I sign down a dotted line to fight anybody, I'm gonna go in there and do my job. But a fight with someone like George is a fight that makes me think, that wakes me up, because George is someone that's special to the mixed martial arts world. A guy that actually has the record right now currently that I'm chasing, and what better way to cement my legacy by actually going out there and breaking that record against that man, because he hasn't really lost. He walked away and he's still in tip-top shape. He can come back, as he showed, a couple years ago with Bisping. He can come back and still get it done. So that is a fight that intrigues me a lot, and that is something that I'm looking forward to.
Just last one from me. I'm guessing you'll be cage side for the big fight this weekend.
Potentially.
After the fight, if McGregor does start calling you out, saying things to you about the title, are you anticipating maybe some kind of beginning of almost a promo, just like Masvidal did with Nate, where the back and forth begins? Is that sort of what you're waiting for to really sort of say, all right, I'm happy to fight you now?
Well, no, because this would be former champion in a different weight class versus the actual champion. So it's not that other that you mentioned. It's not a comparison to that. Like I said, I don't discriminate with the ass whooping. If Conor wants it, Conor can get it too. I'm the champion. My job is to go in there and make it happen. If Dana decides that, hey, he wants to throw this guy in the mix, then I'm going to do my job. Conor has he's been also, he's special to the world of mixed martial arts. And that's the thing with me is I'm no hater. I give credit where credit is due. That young man is definitely he's done a lot for the sport. So if he feels that he wants to step in and challenge, he's trying to make history to actually fight for a third title. I would be stupid to stand in the way of history and give him that opportunity. So, Conor can get it too if he wants it.
Champ over here to your right. You have a great image, and you're a really good role model. How important is it to you to be that?
When I was growing up, I had a lot of different people just touch my life in different ways, and it could be just somebody or the UFC staff, the security back there. At some point, whether they realize it or not, indirectly they've touched my life. Being able to walk by and see the smile on their face or seeing how they do their job. Things like that. And I've been blessed to be touched by people like that all through my life, whether it's my coaches, whether it's my parents. And so they've set an example for me. And that's the example as a parent now that I have to set for my daughter. This is not fake. This is who I really am. A lot of guys like to put on an act that they're fake tough guys, that they're gangsters, or this and that. I'm not a gangster. I never sold any drugs or anything like that. Yes, I had a rough childhood coming from, borderline poverty from where I grew up. But at the end of the day, I still got here. And I still have those key and core values. So I don't have to formulate anything. This is not me trying to do anything. This is just me being how I was raised.
Absolutely. Was there ever any time coming up that people were putting a bug in your ear to do something different, to start being crazy Kamaru Usman and say things? How close were you to maybe doing something like that at all?
No, absolutely. They do that now. Because let's be honest. me being real and being the way that I am, it's never going to be, especially in this day and age, I'm never going to get the credit that someone who's outlandish or the attention or someone who's that extremely outlandish like some of these other guys are going to get. But that's fine with me because at the end of the day, when I go home or when this is all said and done, I'm still the same person. These guys have to somehow turn it off. Or these guys can put on an act and be as outlandish as possible, and they can get a lot of attention, get a lot of recognition. But what happens when you're not that guy anymore, when all that attention is gone? How are you going to handle it? And so, there's a lot of pressure because some guys, people talk, a lot of the media talk, and some of the medias, they don't give me the credit. He's just, a champion. He's just going to come out and give us the same thing, and he's going to be respectful or be this. And, they want headlines. They want stuff to talk about, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. They don't care. But at the end of the day, I care. So I have to be myself.
Last question for me. Back when you won the Ultimate Fighter, Black Zillions versus American Top Team, I remember everyone was talking about Hader Hassan. And then when all said and done, the winner is Kamaru Usman. And people are like, wait a second, what happened? And you really made an impression there. How important was that win? And are there still some feelings of animosity between the remaining people of the Black Zillions and American Top Team?
No, I mean, that was tough. That fight was extremely tough because I had just come off of I had microfracture surgery in my knee, and that was supposed to be an 8-month, 9-month recovery before I started doing stuff again. And I fought, 3 months after that? And so, that was very tough, and especially, you're fighting for a team, and there was $300,000 on the line, so can fuck that one up. So, there was a lot riding on that, but when I got into the sport, I knew that I wanted to be a champion, and I knew that I was going to do everything possible to become a champion. And so, once we got over that, it was what's next. We got over the next hump, is what's next. And ultimately, now I'm here at this point. And so, what was the second part of your question?
The Black Zillions.
I've pretty much ran through the whole gym. I pretty much, so. The welterweights that they all have over there, I've pretty much beat them all. So for me, there was never really any animosity. It was just, when you have two powerhouse gyms in close proximity like that, there's going to be some form of tension. But for me, no. If I see those guys, I have guys that I love over there, Amanda Nunes, Dustin Poirier. No animosity toward those guys.
Last quick one. If you fought Masvidal and he comes with a flying knee like Ben Askren, you have anything in store for him?
Well, first of all, I'm not Ben Askren. And so, I just take the fight how they come. If that fight does happen, then, I'll go in there and do my job, which is dominate an opponent from start to finish. Maybe get another broken jaw. Who knows?
Thank you, champ.
Thank you.
Hey, Kamaru, just over here on your other side, just over here. Just wondering, you sort of not acknowledging Masvidal and saying who every time you asked about him, it's kind of taken on a life of its own. Just wondering why that is and why you sort of refuse to acknowledge him.
No, I mean, this is a game to kind of where you need to fight the contenders that are there. And if you look right now, what if this just an average guy that's looking into the sport of martial arts and they're like, oh, the welterweight champion is going to fight somebody, who is that contender? And they look through the rankings and they want to know who the next best guy is. And if you look in that top 10, I've beat half of them. I've gone through half of them, in the top half of them. Who in that top 10 has this guy beat? To me, is this being a contender or is this the hype? There's two different things. Of course, when there's a lot of hype, people want to see the fight. Of course, they make the fight happen. But when it's, a true contender that has been running through the division, beating all the worthy guys to get there, of course, I'll be happy to take on that because I know that's the next toughest, best challenge. That's all that is.
What would he have to do to sort of get on your radar and, I guess, prove himself in your mind to be the next worthy contender?
Who?
Jorge Masvidal.
Oh, okay. It doesn't matter. Like I said, I'm the champion. If Dana calls and Dana says that's the fight, well, guess what? That's the fight. I just ask when, and I let my managers go in and have that meeting, and we decide when and where.
Just last one from me. I know you're the welterweight champion, so obviously that means a great deal to you. But would it mean to you anything to sort of, if you fought Jorge, to fight for the BMF title and sort of, add that to your collection?
Who and what? I'm not interested in the best mediocre fighter title. I'm not interested in that. This is gold. Like when I got into sports, I always shot for the best. And last time I checked, the prices on silver wasn't continuously going up. The prices on gold is going up. So, I always wanted the gold, not silver. So I got the gold, and that's all matters to me.
Kamaru, right here. Okay, what exactly is the injury that you have the cast there on?
I'm trying to figure that out too. I mean, I went in, next thing you know, I'm walking out with a cast in my hand. And so, they want to keep me in this thing for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then see what the strength is on my thumb. But yeah, I was having some problems with my thumb after that. I think I might have, done something in the fight. I don't know exactly when it happened. I think it might have been the first round in that last fight. But tough fight, huh? Tough fight. I didn't think it was gonna go like that, but I'm glad it did.
You seem to be embracing the who thing, but what do you think of Jorge labeling you as an owl?
I like owls. Owls are scary, actually. I think they can turn their hair, 360 degrees? Yeah, that's a scary thing. I ain't never seen anything like that. If a guy can do that to me, it is what it is. I'm just having fun with it. I'm not taking it too seriously anymore because this is something that I had to realize. Is the moment you get done, people can't wait to say, "Oh no, this is the next guy that can dethrone you. This is the guy that's gonna do it." People wrote me out. People didn't think I was gonna beat Tyron Woodley. They were like, "Oh." Even before that, I fought RDA, and people were saying, "Oh, RDA's been a former champion. He's experienced. He was gonna beat me." And I went in and got it done. And then they said, "Oh, Tyron Woodley's got a lot of power. He's gonna knock him out." And I went in and got it done. Then they said, "Oh, Kobe can't handle the pace and the pressure of Kobe and the wrestling, this and that." And I went in and got it done. Like, they're always going to say something. Each and every fighter has their fan base and have people that support them and they're watching them. A lot of media personalities have their favorites that they get behind, that they're always making polls or tweeting or bringing on their show just to try to hype them up. And it is what it is, But at the end of the day is I know what I'm capable of. I know what I put in. There's a reason I have this cast on. I work myself to a certain point to where, I'm willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to be the best. And right now I am the best. So, at the end of the day, people are always going to say who they think is going to be the next guy to dethrone you. And it's just my job to prove them wrong.
And last thing, you mentioned a George St. Pierre record, but another record you're coming close to is Anderson Silva's 16-0, starting the UFC, longest winning streak ever. Is that something you have your eyes on? And obviously you feel you're never going to lose, but how far do you think you can take this unbeaten streak to start your run?
To be honest, I don't even look at those things. I remember when I was coming in and fighting for that the Ultimate Fighter title, I was 5-1, and I remember I used to look at guys, and when I first started, I'm like, man, Rashad Evans at the time had just gone on like a 15 fight win streak. I was like, how can I get there? How did I get to where I'm like 20-0 and 21 in this, and all these guys have all these fights? But I don't pay attention to it. I just took it one fight at a time. Next thing you know, people are telling me that I'm 10-1 and 12-1, and that I started the UFC 5-0, and they're making all these things. So that's not something that I pay attention to. When I go in there and continuously do my job, the records would pile up. The only reason I know about that whole George St. Pierre one is because everyone was talking about it after. I saw a couple of polls about it, and so that's when I actually realized it. And I thought to myself, man, yeah, you know what? George St. Pierre is a guy that I watched for a long, long time. So, how amazing would that be to break that record against that man that's still doing it at the highest level? So, that's a fight that intrigues me. Truly, it would be the best versus the best.
Kamaru, to stay on the GSP topic, I'm right in the front.
Okay.
You've mentioned that you want to fight GSP. There's also been some talk that Khabib would like to fight GSP. You guys have the same management. So how would that really work internally? Is there a pecking order that you guys have? Would George be the one to decide? How would that work?
We'll fight it out and beat the manager up and decide. No, it doesn't matter. I think there's a reason we want to fight George. You know, because George cemented a legacy. Like, he went out there and did his job. He was one of the best, respectable guy. And he wasn't one of these new school guys that you know, was talking and trying to be what they're not. You know, George was a true mixed martial artist. And so he proved that he was the best. And now there's a reason myself and Khabib want to fight George, because we want to prove that we're the best. You know, it's nothing negative. It's not that we're looking for a money fight or this and that. You know, we just want to prove that we're the best. And that's what you do when you see a guy that's the best or was the best. And which is the reason why these guys are calling me out right now. You know, I don't have to call them out. I didn't call out Conor McGregor. He's the one talking about he wants to challenge me because I sit at the throne right now. So, you know, that's the way that we see the GSP. So it's not necessarily anything malicious or us trying to chase a money fight or anything. I don't give a shit about a money fight. You know, the money will come as I continuously do my job. So, you know, we just want to be the best. We just want to prove that we're the best. So, but internally, we'll have to fight it out, I guess.
And then just really short, in retrospect, what is the single best thing about beating Colby Covington? You know, nothing malicious at all. I never really, towards the end of that, I know he said a lot. He said a lot of things, but at the end of the day, I wasn't trying to hurt him and you know, and to where he couldn't go back to his family and be okay. You know, that's not my intent ever again. I'm a competitor. I just want to beat them competing. And so, you know, at the end of the day, I guess it's just silencing all the doubters, I guess, and just proving to myself that I can go through that chaotic situation and still prevail. So I would say that probably the best thing about it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you.